All right, welcome back everyone to Wisdom Wednesday. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, I'm your host, Dorothy Dorton with AARP Alabama. And always, please feel free to ask any relevant questions in the comments, and we will try to address each one of those by the end of the broadcast. Also, we're going to have a lot of great information for you today about our Community Challenge Grant. And so I will put all of those slides in the Facebook comment section right after the broadcast. So stay tuned for that. So before we get into the Community Challenge Grant, I want to give everybody a quick update on all of our upcoming events. And my goodness, are we busy today, folks. So as you all know, we have Mindful Movement on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. That's live on our Facebook page and YouTube, just like Wisdom Wednesday is. Next week, we'll have Beth and Pello doing some gentle yoga movements. Yesterday, we had Jerry Haslam doing some great strength training movements from the chair, and you can go back and look at that. All of these are recorded, so we want to make sure that you get the exercise you need, take a good break, and stay healthy. And coming up on Friday, we have our second Fraud Watch Friday. And it is going to be on contractor fraud. And because, unfortunately, all of the hurricanes that we've had in the past, as well as the recent tornadoes we just had, there are people who are out there trying to take advantage of folks. So we want to make sure you have the most up-to-date information on how to protect yourself from contractor fraud. So that's going to be March 26th, this Friday at noon. So join my colleague, Bill Hawkins, for that. Coming up April 14th, we are going to have Art with the Armory. Art at the Armory is something we have monthly on the second Wednesday of each month at 1 p.m. And it is live and recorded. So you can check that out on our Facebook page and YouTube. And this time we are going to be talking about diptych still life, which I'm really interested to learn about because I am not sure what that is. All right, heads up, Montgomery. We want to remind you about the live virtual phone bank you're going to be having this afternoon and evening from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. tonight on WSFA. So we're going to be holding a live virtual phone bank, and this is all about fraud. So if you have questions about fraud, we're going to have experts from the Office of the Attorney General, the Montgomery, Alabama District Attorney, Crime Stoppers, and the Alabama Security Commissions who are going to be answering your questions on fraud. So we've got that number posted up right here. And if you tune into WSFA from 4 to 7 p.m., you'll be able to see that number and be able to call in and ask your questions. And for those home gardeners, What's Growing On is going to be back on April 12th. We're going to be going through some spring breaks with our kiddos. But until then, if you need to get in touch with Tarrant to ask her any of your questions, you can get in touch with her by, and let me get her email up here for you. Emailing her at tlanier@Victory Teaching Farm. So be sure to email her if you have any questions. In the meantime, she'll be happy to answer them, happy to guide you through any of your home gardening questions, issues, problems. But we are really looking forward to coming back on April 12th. For What's Growing On. We're going to have some great new episodes. We're also going to have some Zoom deep dive workshops, and we're going to get Tarrant actually out in the garden and planting and getting our hands dirty. So we can't wait for that. Now let's talk about some vaccine info. You want to stay up to date on all vaccine information. So we have got aarp.org/AL vaccine. You can get the latest news, the latest updates for the Alabama vaccine information. There are now, the National Guard is out doing some rural work with the vaccines. And now we have, I believe it's the 1C phase. So 1C in the Alabama COVID vaccination allocation plan is in effect now. And that includes people ages 16 to 64 with high-risk medical conditions, which include but are not limited to cancer, chronic kidney disease, COPD, sickle cell disease, pregnancy, smoking, type 1 and type 2 diabetes. It's also very critical for workers in the following areas to get the vaccination as well. So that's transportation and logistics, waste and wastewater, food service, shelter and housing, finance, like bank tellers, legal folks, media folks, public safety folks for sure. So again, please keep up with the latest on the vaccine with our vaccination website. And if you want to call for an appointment, there's the number right there, 855-566-5333. Again, that's 855-566-5333. Now, on to our resources workshops. So we had our first resource workshop yesterday last week, and it was with Alabama Cares, and we're going to have that recording up soon on our YouTube page. So stay tuned for that. But tomorrow, our next one is going to be on aging and disability resource centers throughout Alabama. And this is going to be really, really interesting because they're going to be talking about all of the services that you can call and get for the Aging and Disability Resource Centers. Now, in order to sign up and register for that, I am going to put up let's see here, folks, give me just a second. I'm going to put in the comments section the registration website, so you can have that and you can just click on that and go straight there. And this is the second of a series of Alabama State Resource Workshops we are doing. So this is a 7-week series. So if you are interested in signing up for one or all of those, we've got another site you can go to, and that will lead you to all of the workshop series. And you can register for the ones you'd like to go to. So let me put that in the comments as well. And there you have that in the comments now. And so again, these are really interesting. They're every Thursday for the next few weeks at 11 a.m. They are on Zoom. So once you register, you'll get a confirmation email with that Zoom link in it. So we'd really love for you to attend that. And again, tomorrow's is on Aging and Disability Resource Centers. And of course, for all of AARP Alabama's events, you can go to this website right here, and I'll also put that one in the comments. So you can get the latest up-to-date information on events that we are having anytime you would like. So that is in the comments as well. All right, folks, so let's get to the really exciting part of our broadcast. I'm really excited to welcome to the show Evie Owen. She's the AARP Program Advisor for Livable Communities. Hey, Evie, how are you doing?
Hi, Dorothy. So good to see your face.
Good to see your face, too. Evie is a very good friend of mine as well. So we're really excited to have her here today, and extra excited to have her talk about the challenge grant today. So Evie, thanks so much again for being here. And can you tell us a little bit about AARP's Livable Communities and effort and what the challenge grant is exactly?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Dorothy, for letting me come on to talk about this. This is the Community Challenge Grant Program is what I live and breathe. So I'm always happy to talk about it. And it's also exciting because we're here in Mobile, and we had a Community Challenge Grant winner the first year of the grant program back in 2017. So it hits a little close to home, and that one's still going strong and has led to even better things. So
absolutely.
So AARP's Livable Communities work is all about working with local leaders and elected officials as they are looking at areas in their communities that they want to make more livable for people of all ages and all abilities. So we're talking about areas like public places and transportation and housing. We really want to provide them with resources and lift them up as they are trying to make those places better and improve them. So through this initiative, we offer a lot of resources, a great amount of support, and a lot of tools. Some of those look like the Livability Index. We have a lot of maps for both the nationwide level and at the community level. We have an award-winning e-newsletter that goes out. Biweekly, we also have a lot of free publications. So things you might already be familiar with, like the Home Fit guides. There's a whole array of those. The Where We Live guides. There's a pop-up guide now that's really cool. There's a lot of challenge grant winners in there. And one of these resources and support that we offer is the Community Challenge Grant Program. It's a grant program to make communities more livable for all ages with tangible improvement and that jumpstart long-term change. That's our tagline. That the long-term change and the tangible improvement parts are the key words here. So these are quick action grants, and we want them to really be focused on a tangible improvement that the community needs. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You were going on to the next slide, which is perfect.
Sure.
So,
okay, perfect.
The history of the Community Challenge, it actually started with a few state offices. I forget which ones, but this was part of their Livable Communities work. So they were working with local nonprofits and local municipalities as they were trying to implement some of our Livable Communities key things. And they decided that a good way to do that was to offer grants. Well, it was so successful that we decided to take it nationwide in 2017, and it's been going strong since then. Since 2017, we've given out $6.1 million in 560 grants nationwide. They go to all 50 states and 3 territories, so DC, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. Every year, all 53 get at least one grant, if not much more. Like I said before, these are small dollar grants. So a lot of people would be surprised to know that our average grant size is around $10,000. We go all the way as small as a few $100s. So if your idea is a great idea for your community, there's no dollar too small. So, even a few $100s can make a big impact if you have a great idea.
Awesome.
Another unique thing about the grant cycle is it's quick action. It's all about getting this done fast and getting it done in a timely manner. So the entire grant program cycle is done within a year. The application window is only about 8 weeks, and then we have a few weeks for judging and a few weeks for paperwork. And then the projects must be executed over about a 4 to 5 month span before the end of the year, which is pretty different and pretty unique in the grant world.
Right. And April 14th is the deadline. Is that correct?
That's right. April 14th. So 3 weeks from today. We are 3 weeks out from the application deadline.
Excellent. So this is just such a great grant, and it's done so much good all around the nation. Can you tell us a little bit about what the program has accomplished so far since 2017?
Absolutely. So since 2017, our first 4 years, like I said, we've given out 560 grants, so 560 projects. And we have categories every year. They tweak a little bit each year, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But in these 4 years, we've given 54% of grants have gone to public spaces category. And these are not predetermined, like we have to give 54% to public spaces. This is just the applications that came in that year, and over these 4 years, this is just how it's kind of broken down into what has been awarded. So 54% have gone to public places, 27% have gone to transportation, 6% to housing projects, 5% to the coronavirus response projects, which that was just last year. So even how that breaks down into the overall 4 years, we did give a large amount to coronavirus response last year. 4% have gone to civic engagement and smart cities, and 4% have gone to the other category. And I think the next slide is probably one of my favorites because it really gives you a good visual of what these categories and what these projects look like in the community. So these are our more public spaces and tangible deliverables. This is just the first 3 years too. We do not have the 2020 numbers in here yet, but over these first 3 years, we have our grantees have installed 522 benches, 428 garden beds, 421 homes have been improved with home maintenance programs, bike racks, crosswalks, art sculptures. We've done murals, and also some of our more people-oriented deliverables. We've had over almost 4,000 volunteers have been engaged in these projects, which is great. We love to see volunteer engagement. Almost 15,000 resources have been distributed in the community. So booklets, things like that. And also transportation classes. We fund a lot of like bus transportation, bike transportation classes, how to navigate your city's bus systems. There's a lot of projects like that each year, which are so important.
That really is.
It is. And the next slide is going to talk about what the really big impact is for the grantees, which is really exciting. You and I both work for nonprofits, and
absolutely. It really is exciting. And we're going to put this next one up, but as you're going through this one, can you also kind of tell us about some of the grantees from Alabama maybe that have been awarded this grant before?
Absolutely. So of course, one that comes to my head that we mentioned earlier, right here in Mobile, Alabama, y'all funded the Victory Teaching Farms, and in Montgomery, we funded the city of Montgomery to do a temporary crosswalk in a really, it was a very busy street that didn't have good crosswalk space in it, and it was right around a school in a neighborhood, and we funded that temporary crosswalk so that they could see that it was going to be utilized, it was going to be worth putting it in permanently. So a lot of these things, a lot of the projects that we fund, sometimes they're used to show the worth of it and that this is actually a good idea. So they'll do a temporary project, but then the city or whoever they're working with will end up taking it permanent and making it permanent, which is part of what's on this slide here. So the focus that the challenge has on these tangible installations and community engagement, it really helps grantees fast track their ideas and in a really tangible and beneficial way. And a lot of times we see long-term change and long-term impacts come from this. So 45% of our previous grantees have been able to leverage their project and leverage this grant to get additional funds from public and private funders. And to be exact, they've actually gotten, we found out, overall, they've gotten about $11 million more after the Community Challenge grant. They were able to leverage it to get $11 million more, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Absolutely.
81% of our previous grantees have been able to use the project to advance change or overcome policy barriers. So it can be things like ordinance changes or rules, laws in city government, or just, they couldn't get over a hump with another neighborhood or certain group. And because of the Community Challenge Grant project that they did, they were able to get through that barrier, which is fantastic. That's the exact thing that we want to see. That's the long-term change that we're talking about. And 100% of our previous grantees have seen greater awareness of their work. They've seen better community engagement. They've gotten new partners. It's really a long-term effect that we have that really quick, tangible project, but it leads and it snowballs into these other, really great things.
Absolutely. And we have a comment here from Ann Hales, and she says they funded beautiful benches that use art to depict city history in the city of Camden.
Oh, that's a great one.
And that's just a perfect example. And like you said, the temporary crosswalk to show how much that crosswalk was needed. And then, Victory Teaching Farm, they were able to create a handicap accessible or all accessible deck with a ramp up to it and raised garden beds so that folks who may be in a wheelchair or have a hard time bending over can still access the vegetables and and they are able to use that deck as a teaching area as well. And, that's kind of developed into a really great partnership, because now we do, as many of y'all may know, we do What's Growing On with Tarrant every other Monday. So, that's been a really great partnership that's grown out of that. But there's just so many possibilities, and 100% of these grants have shown that they can improve the community, they can improve public, awareness, safety, accessibility. So that's just amazing. And I'm just so excited about all the possibilities. So let's get into talking more about this grant cycle and kind of what you're looking for. So tell us about that, Evie.
All right. So we are in the 5th grant cycle. We opened it on February 17th of this year. Like we said earlier, the application deadline is coming up on April 14th, just 3 weeks from today. It's our 5th year of the program, so we're really excited to hit that milestone. And this year, applications are being accepted in 7 categories. So public spaces, transportation, housing, coronavirus recovery instead of response. We've also added diversity and inclusion, and we have smart cities and civic engagement, and then the other category. And each of these categories has subcategories under it. So they break down even more specific. When you fill out the application, you have to select a category and a subcategory that helps you kind of narrow it down a little bit. Each year we kind of tweak these categories a little bit based on what's going on, current circumstances. Obviously, last year we needed to tweak it and add the coronavirus response category. So this year, in response to pressing needs and important social movements, we're really bolstering our support for projects that focus on diversity and inclusion. And of course, those that aid in recovery from the coronavirus pandemic. So last year, we really emphasized pandemic response. And this year, we're shifting that to focus on pandemic recovery. Hopefully, we're about to turn the corner and really
absolutely. And that, yes, I was going to say recovery sounds so much better than response.
Oh,
so
yes,
I really like that. So
Absolutely.
next we got kind of the differences, and I think you just really touched on these too. What's the difference?
Well, so that diversity and inclusion category, we've always had it. We've always looked at that, but this year we were just really emphasizing it a lot more. We're really bolstering our support there. And of course the coronavirus recovery. Hopefully we're gonna shift gears there a little bit.
Yes, excellent. And we did have a great question, which kind of leads us into our next slide. Candy Williams asked, "Can anyone apply to this?"
Yes.
And so
eligibility looks like nonprofits. We are open to 501c3s, C4s, C6s. Also government entities, municipalities. So we do fund a lot of city government projects, and we do consider others based on a case-by-case basis. But it's more rare. It's really for nonprofits and municipalities. Also, the project types that we want to fund are permanent physical improvements, temporary demonstrations. So that's those pop-ups and pilot programs, and also new innovative programming or services. So if you had an idea and want to take it big, this is your idea. Especially if you're a nonprofit, or if you work with a nonprofit, if you know any nonprofit, have any nonprofit friends, or any friends in city government that they might have an idea but don't have a budget line in the city budgets for it, please let them know about this grant program. It is really fantastic, and we have all of this information and a ton more. You can see lots of examples of past projects. You can see videos that explain each category and what those projects look like. All of this information is on our website at aarp.org/community challenge. And of course, if you have questions, if you can't find the answer to your question on that website, you can always email us at communitychallenge@aarp.org.
All right, and I am going to type that email address, communitychallenge@aarp.org, into our comments section.
Awesome.
And I also earlier in the comment section did put the aarp.org/community challenge website up there, that link. So y'all can click on that and find out all of that good information and more that Evie told us about. Again, April 14th is the deadline. So make sure you start working on that. And Evie, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's great to talk about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, I think that just about wraps it up for us. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to play our quick events video so you can get a recap of all that is happening. Montgomery folks, don't forget, from 4 to 7 p.m. on WSFA, tune in to our Fraud Watch phone bank. And until next week, folks, stay healthy and stay wise.